So today's topic is epidemiology. But what is an epidemiologist? So epidemiology is a field of study, is a way to study how diseases spread and why some people get sick, right? So this includes studying patterns of diseases in different communities and finding out different ways that we can prevent people from getting those diseases. So an epidemiologist is they look at diseases, right? They look at diseases and how they spread and some of the explanations for why some people might get sick. So what does an epidemiologist do specifically, Miss Andrea? What do they do?
That's a wonderful question because an epidemiologist does a lot of things. So the very first thing they have to do is investigate all the patterns of the diseases affecting our community. Then they collect all the data and then they analyze what could possibly be making the disease. After investigating all the outbreaks, they can find out solutions like maybe it's possibly the flu or food poisoning. And they can also find ways to stop these outbreaks from further developing.
So an outbreak is when a lot of people in the same place get sick with the same illness around the same time, right? So if you guys are in school and suddenly everybody gets sick with the flu and it's more than you might expect, you might call that an outbreak, right? An outbreak. Or if a lot of people catch measles at school, you might call that a measles outbreak, okay? So can anybody think, this is a hard question, of an outbreak that happened recently all over the world? Do you guys know of an example?
COVID.
COVID, right? So COVID was an example of an outbreak. So lots of people got sick in a short period of time because an infectious disease called COVID-19 was passed. So do you guys think epidemiologists were important during the COVID-19 pandemic? They were, right? Because part of their job was understanding why were people getting sick from COVID-19? Who was getting sick? What communities were getting sick more than other communities? So COVID was a perfect example of an outbreak that became a pandemic because it was all over the world. So like Miss Andrea said, what are some types of pathogens that can cause diseases? Let's talk about that. You want to talk about that, Miss Andrea?
I would love to talk about that. So we talked a lot about outbreaks, right, guys? But what makes outbreaks? So a lot of things that you guys call germs are actually called pathogens. Pathogens are very tiny organisms, so very, very tiny little organisms that can cause a lot of diseases and make you feel sick. And they're so tiny, in fact, that you have to look at them through a microscope. You can't see them with just your eyes. So the first pathogen we're talking about is going to be a virus. So that's what COVID is. And what makes COVID so special is that, like all viruses, it's not living. COVID isn't alive. That's so weird though, right? Because it's moving and it's making you feel sick and it's actually pretty infectious. So it spreads from one person to another. Well, the reason why scientists don't count viruses as being alive is because they need to get a host. So they need to get somebody sick in order to make more themselves, to have their babies. Miss Kelsey, what's the difference in the bacteria?
So bacteria are unlike viruses, they're alive. So they're living, right? So bacteria are alive, which means they do something called respiration, right? That's one of the requirements for being alive. And they have lots of different shapes. The most common ones are bacilli. I don't know if I'm saying that in the right American accent, but that's how we say it in England. So they're a rod shape. Cocci, which are spheres, and I don't even remember, how do you say this one? Spirilla,
Spiral?
I think we would say in England. So they're spirals. So you have rod-shaped bacteria, spheres, and also spirals. And bacteria are often infectious, right? So infectious means it can be passed from me to you guys, right? Not all, but a lot of them are infectious. So some examples of bacteria are salmonella, which are often associated with uncooked food. So when you don't cook your chicken properly, E. coli, and Streptococcus pyogenes, which is strep throat. Okay, so what's another example of a pathogen?
Well,
There's a
there is another one here. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. It's all you.
Sorry, there's another one here that we actually know a lot better than you think. Have you guys ever tried seaweed? Oh, seaweed is so good, right? It's actually a protist, though. Oh, and all of a sudden, no. Seaweed is made up of a lot, like thousands and thousands of little algae cells. So when we're eating a seaweed, we're not eating a plant, we're eating a protist, which is so interesting. So protist is kind of like this other group that scientists use. It's not an animal, it's not a land plant, and it's not a fungus. So they categorize it in here. And what makes them so special is they asexually reproduce. So what they do is they split in half, and then that grows into two of them. So imagine you can split yourself in half and suddenly you had an exact copy of yourself.
So, on the topic of epidemiologists, we have a very special scientist here with us today, a real epidemiologist that is here to talk to us about their role in science.
Okay, so my name is Mariah, and yeah, I'm an epidemiologist. I work for a company, and we can move on. Let's go to the next slide. So, what do I do? Me personally, I work every day like a lot of grown-ups do, and I turn my computer on, and in my everyday life, I get assigned or given a disease to research. So people above me will say, hey, Mariah, you need to write a report on this or that. So usually I deal with things that affect the heart or the kidneys or different kinds of cancers. So those are kind of my special areas that I know more about. There's lots of different kinds of diseases, and they're all very different. So most epidemiologists will have like a specialty. And so first I need to learn about the disease. I usually try to figure out what the risks are. So how are some people more likely to have that disease than other people? So usually when it comes to any disease, really, not everyone is going to have that disease in the whole world. So why do some people have it and why some people don't have it? So those are called risks and also preventive factors. Then I need to know a little bit about the treatment and also different kinds of trends. So are the numbers of people getting a certain illness going up or are they going down? What is happening? So I'm not a doctor. I'm sure when you're sick, you go to a doctor and that doctor only cares about your well-being. So in epidemiology, we look at people, populations, community, the whole city, the whole country, the whole state, and look at what's going on like a population level. I have to read a lot and I have to take a lot of notes. So I always have lots of notebooks around, which I love. I then have to get on my computer and create different kinds of models with the numbers. So I always think it's almost like cooking or baking, where you take a little bit of butter and then you take flour and eventually you will have an apple pie. So that's how my work is. I have to take bits and pieces from different places and put them together and then write a report. And I also have to present. So I talk to people and tell them about my exciting work. And I also talk to customers. So the company I work for, we work with people who develop medicines. So those are our customers. So I tell them about what's going on with a certain disease so they can hopefully create better drugs and medicines for those diseases.
All right, guys. Oh, sorry. The Does anybody want to share their pathogen?
Mine is called, I never thought of the name. But anyway, it looks like
Wow. It looks amazing. And what are the signs and symptoms? Your pathogen.
Um, um, what's it called? Like when your heart like beats fast.
Oh,
Um,
hypertension.
yeah. Um, um, loss of appetite.
Mhm.
Fever.
Well, those are amazing symptoms and signs, and it's an amazing pathogen that you made. Great job. All right. Let's see. I see. It looks amazing. I saw Izzy's hand is up too.
Um, Mine is a peach. Like a peach. Like this is its name is a peach because it remind me of a peach. Like the cover remind me, so I make. Oh wait, I'll just make a peach.
Ooh,
And so the symptoms is a cold and the person gets cold very fast, and then like a sign is a lass.
well, that is an amazing pathogen too, and that's a great idea. A lot of science do name pathogens based on how they look. So that is awesome. Like even coronavirus looks like a crown. That's what it's called, corona. I saw Ellie was showing their pathogen too. Ellie, would you like to share?
Mine just looks like this. It's called love bug, and you can get it from friends, family, and yeah, you can see it, you can feel it, you can even make it. So yeah.
Oh, I love bug. I love
That
the
is
name.
so cute. I love that. That is so cute.
It is an amazing pathogen. It's so adorable. All right, I know Sophia has been holding up their hand for a while. I'm excited to see their pathogen.
I drew like I made like a virus. It's like
Oh. And what are the signs and symptoms?
that very that like if you don't take care of your body and don't eat the right food, that like it's very bad for you. And also if you're touching if you're near lots of sick people too.
Oh, this is a very infectious pathogen. Very amazing. It looks amazing too. Um, all 3D. All right, let's see. Also, I see Farah's hand is up too, and it's like a green pathogen.
Uh, mine is mine is called a ruby, and it causes friendliness, and inside of it the hurt.
There's a heart inside of it. Oh. And what was the symptoms it caused again? Cleanliness? Cleanliness.
Nice. Yuretsi, do you want to be? We're almost out of time. So Yuretsi, you can be our last person to share.
Is it okay like we accidentally copied like the list in the screen?
That's fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I drew it. Like I drew bacteria, this one, and then here I wrote virus.
Nice.